Okay. I'd like to call this meeting of the Madison Fire Board to order at 7:01. Madam Clerk, could we have a roll call?
Mr. Adams, Mr. Anderson, Mr. Gauntner,
Here.
Mr. Lee,
Here.
Mr. Vest,
Here.
Mr. Wayman,
Here.
Chief Baker, Captain Meister,
Present.
Ms. Clapp,
Here.
Ms. Stain.
I'm here.
Okay.
Oh, we have
Thank you.
Joanna by, I didn't realize. I was wondering where her here came from. She's on the screen, okay.
Oh,
Hello, Joanna.
well,
There we are.
hello there.
Okay.
Hey, we're all aboard. Okay, if we could have the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
So as everybody's noticed, we have a couple of new people in certain positions. Our new clerk, one of our captains, acting chief for tonight, and you have me instead of Max. Thank you much. Okay, regular session. Do we have any business before we get to the minutes of the previous meeting?
Yeah, we've got Mr.
Gehring.
Oh, okay, Mr. Gehring,
Yes.
you have the floor, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Lee. I'll make this as brief as possible, as always. I get a microphone now, okay. Thank you. I'm here about the August 1st renewal of the VFIS property casualty coverage. I trust everybody has a copy of the renewal quote in front of them. I'm actually a month early this time. We normally come in roughly 2 weeks before renewal, but we did get the quote too early this month, so I'm here tonight. The total annual premium for the renewal is now, what we're quoting is up to $42,274, which is an increase of $2,543 over the expiring, which was $39,731. Always giving you reasons why things happen. Premium is up mainly three things. There are now three more full-time employees. We've applied, as usual, a 4% inflation factor to all the buildings and the contents. And after discussion with the chief, as we always do before we get you the renewal quote, we looked at the agreed values we have on the vehicles. And the goal is always to have insurance, an insurance limit which is equal to what it would cost to replace your vehicles at today's prices, today's standards. And as you know better than I do, those costs don't go down. So we've itemized those increases in the values. We don't want a situation where, heaven forbid, there's a total loss on a vehicle and the money is not there to replace it with something brand new. We don't want you to be forced to buy something used, pay money out of the district's coffers. So those are the reasons for the increase this year. The other thing that's the last paragraph that's in on the cover sheet that I want to spend a little bit of time on because it is important in the long range for the district's insurance. Has to do with the management liability coverage, which basically is your folks' malpractice insurance, serving on the board. And we're talking about situations where you would have claims arising out of things like someone alleging that you were misusing public funds, Could be an employment practices situation. Maybe someone alleges that there was an improper bidding process. Could be the way you're administering your employee benefits programs. These are all things that you can be sued for. Knock on wood, you haven't had a claim like this in 5 years. Now, the first thing I want to say is what VFIS is offering for an additional $186 a year. In no way are we insinuating that we don't want your coverage. We've had it for decades. But again, there's an issue that comes up as far as freedom of movement. If the board somewhere in the future would like to get other quotes, move their coverage elsewhere, because of the way we write our coverage, we don't want to throw up a big impediment, costly impediment, where it would be difficult or impossible for you to move coverage if you chose to do so. So to make this as concise as I can, right now your management liability coverage is on what's called a claims-made basis, which means VFIS right now will cover any of these types of claims we just talked about. We'll cover them if the claim is brought against the district in the current policy year, or it can be for something that happened years ago, but is finally reared its ugly head right now. So we're covering claims that happened this year and claims that took a while to manifest themselves. Now, in the future, let's just take an example, just to pick a date, to give a specific example. Say 4 years from now, August 1st of 2025, you got a quote from another carrier who said, and it was a good quote, but they said that rather than have a claims-made type coverage for your management liability, that they wanted to offer you what's the other form of coverage, which is an occurrence form, which is a good way to go, because if you have occurrence form coverage and a claim takes place, you're covered for it forever. You're not restricted in any way to when the claim finally manifests itself. But the problem is, if you then wanted to switch from our claims-made coverage over to their occurrence form, you would be forced to buy what's commonly called tail coverage.
Yeah.
And that can get very, very expensive. So the point is this is an offer only available because you've had no claims, knock on wood, in 5 years. For $186, VFIS is willing to switch over at this renewal, August 1 of this year, switch you from a claims made to an occurrence form coverage, and still cover any claim that hasn't reared its ugly head yet. And again, in no way do we hope you would move from VFIS, but my thinking is that it's a benefit of being with this company for so long. They're putting you in a position where it'll be far less costly to make the move from claims made to occurrence now than down the road sometime. And especially if you have had some claims, it might make it impossible for you to switch out. So that's, in a nutshell, is basically what they're offering.
So Mike, this is basically providing the board with tail coverage by switching to that occurrence in perpetuity.
Correct.
Even if they switch at a later date to claim their occurrence with another company.
That's
They
right.
wouldn't have to worry about that tail coverage.
Right. And if you go to occurrence now, I don't think you'd ever want to go back to claims
Claim,
made,
right.
because it can be less expensive in some ways, but in other ways, it's opening up a whole other can of worms.
Mike, we would still be with VFIS, though, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
Yep.
I don't see any downside to doing this at all, do you, Stacy?
No, if they're offering you the tail coverage and you're, still getting the same type of coverage and it's only for the $186, because I think, that's why the recommendation is being made, is you're getting that coverage that later on might be too expensive to get. So it's a great benefit that's being offered.
Yeah, I don't see the downside at all. It makes perfectly good sense to do it, in my opinion.
And the only thing what you're gambling is if you don't do it this year, is if, heaven forbid, something does happen in the form of a management claim, then that opportunity is gone.
Yep.
So,
Any other questions? question?
Yeah, one more question. So this is equivalent of what, errors and omissions, correct? Is what we're basically covering here.
Right. Another phraseology for it, Mark, is public officials.
That's okay.
Liability.
Just making sure I'm on a,
Right. Every carrier has their own tag for what they
right, that's
call
why I'm
it.
asking. Am I confused that this is something different, or is this the
Right.
same animal, just a different name? Okay, gotcha.
Yep.
And they're getting the same type of coverage, there's no change in coverage.
In limits or deductible or anything, no.
Right. And so was that a motion then, Mr. Gardner?
Yeah, I know we have a resolution, right, Stacy? We can,
Right,
do we
we
need to
can have the
modify
resolution
that?
later.
Should I do the motion now or wait till we get to the resolution?
Is the 186 included in that renewal quote, or
It's in addition to.
in addition? Yeah, so we can just change it at the time we do the
Okay,
resolution.
that's fine.
Okay.
Mr. Wayman, do you have any questions?
No, I think it's a good idea, great idea.
Okay, so do I.
Yeah,
Thank you, Mike.
You're welcome.
as usual. Thanks,
Okay,
Thanks, Mike.
moving on, any other business? Okay, we have the minutes from the regular session on May 19th, 2021 before us. Is there a motion to accept the minutes as presented?
You have that motion?
I'll second it, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. Any discussion?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, if I could.
Yes, sir.
I don't mean to be picky-uni, but I guess I am about minutes in a way. Only because I've always contended the minutes are really the history of the district, and I've read minutes before, not here necessarily, but where something happened 10, 15 years ago, and you don't really know who the players are, and my only comment on these, and it's nothing you did wrong, Nyla, other than under the section that talks about Station 3 driveway, it says Chief Baker spoke with Mr. Podeye, who anticipates the project to take place during the first 2 weeks of June. What I'd like to see it say is Chief Baker spoke with Mr. Tom Podeye of whatever the name of his construction company is, who anticipates it. Only because 10, 15 years from now, if somebody read these minutes, they're gonna go, who the heck's Mr. Podeye, and what does he do?
Undertaker, too.
Yeah,
Right.
and does he not only bury people, but do driveways as well? I don't know, but it's just one of those, I know it's picky-uni, but I just think it should identify who Mr. Podeye is a little bit more. And the name, just the name of his firm, that's my only comment.
So can we add that to the minutes, chief? What firm?
Podeye Concrete,
Okay.
Tom Podeye. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, any other discussion? Changes, deletions, additions? Okay, I'll entertain a motion to accept the minutes as amended. Or, no, did you make the motion to?
I did,
Yeah.
as amended.
Right, okay.
I
And Pete
seconded,
seconded. I
as
stand
amended,
corrected.
yeah.
Okay, if no further discussion, Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Mr. Gontner?
Yes.
Mr. Lee?
Yes.
Mr. Vest?
Yes.
Mr. Wayman?
Yes,
Okay. Next has to do with bills and payroll. Joanne, do you want to present anything regarding the bills or the payroll?
I can do that reading for you.
Thank you.
Sure. Our bills for the month of May was $76,103.29. Payroll was $140,646.96 for a total of $216,750.25.
Okay, are there any questions of the treasurer? Do I have a motion to pay the bills and pay the firefighter?
Mr. Chairman, I so move.
Okay, Mr. Gontner, is there a second?
And a second?
Thank you, Mr. Vest. Any other discussion? Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Mr. Gontner.
Yes.
Mr. Lee.
Yes.
Mr. Vest.
Yes.
Mr. Wayman.
Yes.
Okay, we've paid the bills and paid the people. Anything else on the financial report, Ms. Clapp?
Sure, I can give you the May fund summary report if you like.
Okay,
Okay, we started May with a balance of $5,632,560.52. Our month-to-date revenue was $80,219.90. And the reason that seems high is because when we transferred the money from our general fund to our general bond, it showed that figure as a revenue coming in. That's the way the software records it. Our year-to-date revenue is $2,434,953.28. Our month-to-date expenditures, which is a little different than the last one I just read, is $249,165.45. And again, that's because we transferred out to the general fund to the bond fund. Our year-to-date expenditures is $1,196,027.31. So we are starting June with $5,463,614.97.
okay, thank you. Are there any questions or comments on the financial report?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, Mr.
Joanne, just for clarification, the ending balance, it's a pretty high number, but part of that is that not because we have the bond payment in there that we have to make at the end of the year?
The bond, we just, in May, we just paid only the interest part. The actual bond payment itself isn't paid till December.
Okay, so
So it
probably
is high,
a
yes.
million or better of that money is really already kind of set aside to make the bond payment.
Right,
And,
yes,
and to carry over into next year as well.
correct, yes.
Okay.
And
Any
just one
other
other note, so when you're looking at the financial reports, if you're wondering why the Ohio Public Employers Pension budget is higher than normal, is because we have one part-time firefighter that is also paying into that pension, and with him working a lot of hours, that bumped that figure up. That's why when you're looking across at that budget, it seems high.
Anything else, Joanne?
No, that's all I have at the moment.
Any other questions?
Just one question.
Yes, sir.
Investment-wise, where our position is there right at the time? As far as our investments go and what our return on our investments? With Andover, I think
It's-
we're with Andover still, aren't we? Or who are we with?
Yes.
Yeah.
Andover and Star, Ohio is where most of it is
Right?
on,
And
yes.
our return now, I'm not seeing anything in the report that shows.
We have very little for May, we only got $308.70 in of interest,
Okay. On that large sum of money.
Right.
yes. Mhm.
Okay. Thank
And
you.
they're not predicting much of an increase in
No.
interest.
Thank you.
Actually, at the conference I'm at right now, they're telling us that if we need to finance, is now the time to finance, because the interest
Yep.
rates are so low in financing.
Definitely. Okay,
That's
thank
all.
you.
That's all I have.
Thank you, Joanne. Okay, moving on, public portion. Anyone who wishes to address the board? Nobody? Chief, you've got an occasion here.
I know.
From the public, see? Okay, moving on, legal counsel. Mrs. Day,
I don't have anything specific to report to the board.
geez, you're making it easy. Any old business?
Old business. Currently, we have the Station 3 driveway that you guys, all of you drove through today. So you got a taste of that. They're doing the first half pour tomorrow, I believe. And that'll be 7 to 10 days to sit, and then they'll rotate to the other side and give that 7 to 10 days, and then it'll all be finished hopefully by July-ish. Station 2, still waiting on the CT consultants for the mechanical drawings and mechanical sub-out part of that. So that's basically the only holdup for a job estimate that's left to present to you guys to vote on. As far as that, any other old business? Chief? Think of?
Just one question.
Yeah.
Did Mr. Potide or did anybody conclude what the failure was?
Right.
Up front? Well, I mean, we paid good money for it, so do I wanna have the answer or not really?
Well, I thought, Mark, last time that Sidley's pretty much washed their hands of it. I thought that
Right.
was one of the discussions, that they basically didn't even want to engage in what the failure could be, other than just bad concrete.
Okay,
They didn't want nothing to do with it.
and is there a same vendor?
No.
Well, then that answers my question. I'm good, I'm done.
French's is formless.
Okay.
There's a lot of silica in there, and the color of the concrete itself appears to be perhaps a lot of sand, a lot of questionable mix.
Well, I know it was precarious as to the time of year that was poured, correct? So, let's leave it at that.
Do we know where Mr. Potide gets his,
French's.
okay,
French's Concrete.
good.
They make pretty good concrete,
Yeah.
from my experience with them.
Okay. Anything else, Captain?
That's all I have for the old business.
Good job.
Thank you.
Any new business?
We have two resolutions, Mr. Chairman.
Okay,
Would you like me to read the first?
yes, ma'am.
That would be resolution number 21-18. This would be a resolution authorizing the renewal of the district insurance plan for VIS property and casualty insurance coverage as recommended for the upcoming insurance year, and authorizing payments for said plan. As Mr. Daring indicated, the premium amount would be $42,274, which is an annual premium increase of $2,543 over the expiring policy. The board did discuss the additional $186 per year in premium costs to go to an occurrence as opposed to claims. And if my math is correct, that would bring it to $42,460 for our annual premium.
I'd like to make a motion as amended,
Okay.
please.
Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Thank you, Mr. Wayman. Any discussion?
Question, please.
Yes.
Continue the semi-annual payment.
Is that how we're paying now,
That's what
Mike?
we're
Go
doing
ahead.
now.
I
Yes.
would say most likely.
Yes, the same as we have been, yes.
Okay,
Thank you.
very good. With no further discussion, Madam Clerk, will you please call the roll?
Mr. Gauntner,
Yes.
Mr. Lee,
Yes.
Mr. Vest,
Yes.
and Mr. Wayman.
Yes.
Okay. Moving on to Resolution 2119. Wait a minute.
Yeah.
No.
No?
Back up. Did we get did I jump on the discussion part and the roll call and not get a first and a second on?
No,
No.
Mr. Chairman, you got a first and a
Yeah,
second.
that was the first.
That's right, yeah, okay. I guess that's what happens when you get white hair, chief.
That's what happens when you have a short staff here.
Okay, bringing to Resolution 2119, one of the most important resolutions to come before the fire board in a long time. Nyla, I know I haven't, well, yeah, a long time ago, I was on the board. And you have been a joy to work with, as I'm sure everyone here will attest to.
Thank you so much for your kind words.
Well, thank you for putting up with the crews. From what I've heard, they aren't the easiest people to get along with, but they do make your days fun.
Well,
at
I don't
times.
know who you've been talking to, but they have been a total delight. It has been an honor to serve them.
That's good, that's good. Madam Dane, do you want to read the whole thing, or
I
do you
can do
want?
that if it's your pleasure, otherwise, I mean,
Well,
whatever you would
I
like to
think
do.
we would like to hear you once again.
Okay, resolution number 21-19 is a resolution recognizing Nyla Brass for her years of service to the Madison Fire District. Whereas Nyla Brass has served in an administrative assistant role for the Madison Fire District for over 12 years. And whereas Nyla Brass has played a key role in assisting employees of the district, members of the community in their dealings with the Madison Fire District organization. And whereas Nyla Brass has been instrumental in providing the necessary support services to allow the Madison Fire District to provide the best possible fire and EMS service to Madison Village and Madison Township communities. So it's hereby resolved by the Board of Trustees of the Madison Fire District of the County of Lake and State of Ohio that the board expresses to Nyla Brass on its behalf and on behalf of the entire community its appreciation for her years of service, dedication, and tireless efforts to help those in need, and it wishes her all the best for her future endeavors. Thanks, Nyla.
I thank you so much. It's very nice. Don't start something now.
Mr. Chairman, I so move to adopt Resolution 2119.
And I would second, thank you.
And how about we do it by acclamation, people? If that's all right? By acclamation, the whole district, everybody that you've served, everybody that's here acknowledges that you have been superb. So may it be reflected in the minutes that the resolution was passed by acclamation of everyone present.
Thank you very much.
Nyla, thank you. You've been a pleasure to work with, and you've worked hard for this district, and I thank you for everything you've done.
It was most definitely a team effort, but we did work together well as a team, and look where we started and look where we are now.
Oh, yeah.
So we can all be very proud of what we've done here, and I've never worked anywhere where I had more self-satisfaction and teamwork satisfaction than here at the district. But I'd like to say that I'd like to commend the chief. His choice of replacement, you will not be disappointed. Lori is a wonderful lady. She's smart, she's organized, and she thinks ahead of everybody else, same way I tried to do. But in any case, she's going to succeed at it much better than I ever did. And I think you're going to be wonderfully pleased with who the chief has chosen then. And the board recommended and approved. You're all going to be very, very pleased with it. Thank you, Lori. You've been wonderful in the training process. We're not quite done yet, but I have been thoroughly impressed, and I thank you so much. I don't feel uncomfortable leaving where I thought I would. You guys are in good hands. Chief, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Can't even express. Your good business sense, you're brilliant. You've always been brilliant. But on a personal level, I thank you for your kindness.
Well, I don't know, I'm not sitting up there, but if I could address the board, the only reason we got here is because an unwitting person takes a new position and doesn't recognize the extent of what's involved. And we left Nyla's key to help teach me how to do my job. So I appreciate you.
Oh, yeah. We all work together. We even work with Lieutenant Paul Hammer. Little brother that I never had. Thank you.
amazed at your flexibility when it comes to adjusting to different people in charge. I mean, 3 chiefs,
Oh, I know.
okay, how many firefighters? And for you to be able to keep your calm and sense of order that you have throughout the course of time has been simply amazing to me. So thank you very much for doing what you've done for our community.
Like most of us, it's grace of God if it's nothing else,
Amen.
I'll tell you that.
Amen.
Thank you.
I was on the board that hired Nyla, you might have been there too, Melissa. And she's done everything that was asked of her throughout her
Yep.
tenure here at Madison Fire. Any task that was thrown her way, she handled it in a wonderful way, never a cross word. She's always been top-notch in my book, and thank you very much, Nyla.
Those are very nice words. Thank you so much. Thank you, all of you.
Thank you.
I'm gonna miss you. I'm gonna miss you. Had things been different, I'd still be here, but everybody knows where they belong in this world. All they have to do is acknowledge it and take the responsibility for it. Things will be all right. You guys are gonna be all right.
Thank you.
Let
Thank
me ask
you.
a question, Alice. Were you around when you had to climb those steep steps?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
22 of them, still remember to the day.
Oh, man, I remember having to go up and talk to the chief, and I'm thinking by the time I got to the top floor, I says, I forgot what I wanted to talk to him about. That was a chore, and you did a hell of a job getting up there every single day.
With 2 broken legs. Funny.
A gem, a gem. Thank
guys are too kind.
Thank you, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
You want a motion?
We
We did
accepted
a
it
motion.
via acclamation.
Okay. We don't need a formal motion other than
You
acclamation?
had
A
a motion and a second, and
Okay.
then it was approved by
Okay.
acclamation.
Gotcha.
Okay, so that was, does that take care of the new business, Ms. Day?
Does, Mr. Chairman,
Okay,
as far as I'm aware.
so. Chief report, we gonna do this again?
I can handle that. I know we usually start out with the anniversaries and the first part of the officers/chiefs report. I want to take a moment to recognize Nyla and her 12-plus years here as well. I appreciate all you've done for me personally, and all the little things, all the little crumbs that you caught that didn't fall through the cracks, and for this large operation. You were wonderful to work with, and I appreciate all you did for us.
It was an honor. Yes.
And to build on that, we have some cake and ice cream and refreshments after the board meeting, so hopefully you all will stay and to celebrate her last meeting and as a little goodbye.
Okay,
Party,
I
if you will.
appreciate that. That's
Okay.
very kind of you too, to think of that. Yes.
So the anniversaries are as follows. Firefighter Charlie Barneycoat is 29 years. Firefighter Mike Fear has 3 years. Firefighter Rich Camp has 29 years at Madison Fire. Firefighter Doug Rott, 10 years. Firefighter Matt Drew, 5 years. And firefighter Sam Erdani has hit his 5th anniversary as well. So congratulations to those gentlemen. Financial overview, I believe you guys have seen some of it already. We met with the Med-Account rep today for the EMS billing. Michelle, the chief, and I had a quick conference call with her, and everything seems to be going well on that front. I want to take a minute to commend the crews and the quality group. We currently, she couldn't divulge any details, but she told us that we had the highest reimbursement rate in the county for anybody that has Med-Account. So congrats to all
that's
the
wonderful.
folks here and their hard work and dedication to what we do here. Tax revenue appears to be on budget. EMS revenue as well. And you'll see in the financial sheet, the overtime budget is a little bit higher, and I'll cover that a little bit more with the staffing overview. But as far as the budget goes, there's no glaring concerns at this point. If you guys have any questions, feel free to shoot them this way. Staffing overview continues to be a challenge. Again, this is the summer months where people take their vacations, and obviously weekends seem to be the biggest issue. OT required to maintain the staffing at our 5 minimum. We're about 60% of the overtime budget for the year, which early June seems to be concerning. But we're only at 33% of when you combine overtime and salaries for the year. So we should normally be in the the low 40s, like 42, 43%. So we're well under that at this point when you combine everything and the whole pie there. Call volume. Call volume for May was 318 calls for service, 193 of which were the EMS variety, 125 were fire related. This represents a 30% increase between when you consider or compare them to May 2019 and 2020. So our volume is up significantly at this point, and we definitely feel it on shift. And you can throw out COVID too, because I know the call volume was a little bit lower last year, like the April through the June months. But we went back, Chief and I and Lieutenant Fallhammer, and we went back and looked at some of the numbers from 19 and 20, and yeah, we're definitely running away with some call volume. Fire inspections, ongoing.
Hold on.
Yep.
And
Yes, sir.
collections and
For,
payment, past due, and for those, how people, are they responding better than in
for fire
previous year?
inspections?
Yeah, fire exception. Same violators? Okay. Same
I don't have that
procedures to
information.
try and collect.
We're continuing to report that.
Okay. Thank you.
The only thing to note with fire inspections, and again, this is Captain Sopko's area and Inspector Solomosi, but a few businesses are not responding to our inquiries or our requests to inspect their businesses. So we're working on that front as well. So there'll be probably more to report down the road with that.
Could you explain a little
Just a
further on
couple.
that? I mean, your inquiries too, I mean, you call them and say we're gonna be coming?
That's correct, to my
Okay.
understanding.
And
We
they don't
call them,
They don't respond back to you and say?
they don't
that-
respond and won't let us in the business.
Oh, they won't let you in?
Correct.
Oh, there's gotta be legal ramifications to that. Okay. That's not cool.
Right, if I may, if they refuse to allow access, we can get an administrative search warrant to do it. We're not quite to that stage yet, but that is the recourse that we have.
Okay, are those individuals, I mean, these are businesses that are open to the public, correct?
Correct.
Okay. All right. What do you suggest we do to make them?
Well, if and when we get to that point, that's something that we would handle on our level with Stacy. It would be basically similar to the same process as a citation, except we would be getting a search warrant instead of issuing citations at that point, and that would be just to allow us access.
Would the intervention of the state fire marshal be another act to take?
Well, as our history has shown with them, they would prefer to defer it back to the local level. We've had that issue in the past, and they're always going to defer it back to us. So my suggestion would be that we just handle it ourselves, because that's just another step that basically is just a waste of time.
Okay, well, we'll be listening. There's got to be something coming up with this. This is not good.
Well, hopefully, at the end of the day, they comply and let us in to do the inspection. And then, we don't have to worry about that aspect of it.
Okay. Thank you, Terry.
Thank you, Captain Sopko.
Captain Sopko, excuse me. Is there
Yes.
any, could you give us a guesstimate as to the percentage of businesses have not allowed us to inspect?
It's very small. I mean, I would say that it's probably less than 1%. Most are compliant. Some may be apprehensive, but at the end of the day, they let us do our thing, and everything is fine as far as allowing access.
Okay, since it's a minute percentage, it's, you know, we gotta continue, but it's not a big problem.
Yeah, it's not a large number at all.
Okay, thank you.
Just wanted you guys to be aware in case action has to be taken, you're
Well-
not surprised.
I'll endorse it.
Sure.
Yeah. It's, I mean, what they forget, and it's not all about them. It's about the safety of our firefighters as much as it is for them. And that needs to be explained to them, that this is not all about you. This place is on fire, they're in there with no lights and no security, and you're willing to put that kind of jeopardy out there. It'd be like us saying, we're gonna park the truck when the alarm goes off. That's ridiculous. It's insulting. I'm sorry. Okay.
Well, I think they're gonna go the education route and then, you know, progress from there, obviously. Start small
Okay.
and work larger.
Yeah,
Or in case you get phone calls.
Yeah,
Okay,
just a heads up.
okay, thank you. That's all right.
continue on, Captain.
Thank you, Mr. Lee. Vehicles, PMs have been done on all our vehicles. We had our annual pump test for the fire trucks. Those all went pretty well. So those are all complete. Again, buildings, I think I covered this a little bit earlier. The Station 3 driveway is obviously ongoing, so hopefully by the end of the month, we'll be done with that project. Once all the concrete is cured, we can start driving on it again. As of this report, CT, we're still waiting on the mechanical drawings, so they can get a job estimate and get all that going, so that's still a work in progress. Hopefully, maybe next month, fingers crossed, something will come through for everyone to look at and vote on. And also Commissioner Hammercheck is working to try to assist Station 2 with their renovation. There's obviously the ARP, or the American Rescue Plan monies that are coming through.
Yeah.
And I think that there might be an opportunity there to direct some funding that way, which would be helpful.
If we put his name on the station.
Okay.
Officer recommendations, there's nothing to note. And I believe that is the end of the report. Any questions?
Mr. Chairman, if I could.
Yes, sir.
Captain Meister, I was looking, our EMS runs are, I mean, I can tell they're up. Where I live, my wife says, those guys are running all day long. I mean, you guys are going up Green Road, seems like 10 times a day. I know about a year before the pandemic, I believe it was 2019, I remember, I think at the end of the year, we thought call volume was up around 15% more than we'd seen before. And now we're looking at, what, a 30% increase. Do you have any idea, are we seeing a lot more of a certain type of, is it because of drug overdose? Is it just anything in particular that seems to be up more, heart attacks or something, or is the community just growing? We got more people and more people are getting hurt and sick?
I don't know necessarily think it's an increase in like the overdose. I think it's just across the board in general, just people are calling us more. There's a lot more people coming through town. We got the development going to start here soon, so we're on pace to do, I believe we did 31 and change last year. I think we're on pace to do about 3,300 calls right now, so it's a pretty good bump.
Wow. The new I'm just kind of curious, we have the new development there at Georgetown on Hubbard Road. I don't know how many people are back in there, and do we, is something like that add, do you do a lot of calls in there, does that add to the call volume at all?
From my studies, I think when you look across the population, I think the population dictates call volume generally, so, I mean, we're just in my development alone, there was 60 or 70 houses built, so that added how many people and families, and so I think just in general, we're just gonna continue to grow as long as people keep coming here. The call volume will reflect that.
Nowhere to go but us. We're getting called for a lot of things.
Yeah.
And we've tried to steer people to county services as well with, job and family and adult protective, and when we come across those kinds of situations, so, sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't, so we get repeat calls to these addresses, so it just kind of ebbs and flows throughout the year.
It's concerning only because, we only have so much staff, and the more of this we get, the more people we're gonna need, and then, that puts a strain on the budget, and the day comes where we gotta go back to the public and say, you know what, we can't provide the level of service you want with the amount of money you're giving us. And at this rate, we aren't gonna be real far away from that. We'll be getting there sooner than we'd probably like to.
I hate to admit it, but I do agree with your assessment.
Getting back to the call volume, it said 30% greater than May of 2019 and 2020? Does that mean that in 2019, we had the same call volume as in 2020?
Those are respectively, Mr. Lee, so, we're not adding those two numbers together, just in general, those 2 years were fairly even.
Oh,
We
okay,
just jumped
yeah.
significantly this year,
Okay,
okay?
so do we, I mean, I know we've got the data, between 2018 and 2019, figuring 2020 was the COVID year, so throw that out. So what you're saying, from 2018 to 2019, it was just a normal, and then now between 2019, Joe, okay.
For instance, last year we had roughly 230 calls. This year we had around 320.
Yeah.
When you're comparing May to May.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I think the line graph the chief did here
Yeah.
really shows
Right.
it well. It shows
Yeah.
how you see that we were pretty even in 2020 and 2019, and then all of a sudden, you look at the blue line for this year, and you see the big
Yeah.
spike. That's a really impressive graph, because you can see where we're going, and it's not good.
Correct.
Anything else, Captain?
I have nothing else. Anybody has any other questions?
Any other questions, comments?
Nope.
Okay, one last time for public to address the board. Anyone? Okay. Any closing board comments before we adjourn to our celebration?
No, sir.
Apparently not. Okay, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved, Mr. Chairman. And a
Okay,
second.
Okay, Mark. All in favor, say aye. Aye. No one is opposed?
No, never.
Motion has passed. We adjourn at 7:50.